So one of the things that we were struggling with was with the attrition of teaching assistants. They come, they go, they weren't getting certified. And then the second challenge we were struggling with was getting CTE teachers certified and keeping them, right, retaining them. So I said, what if, I went to our Board of Education and I spoke to Jerry. I said, what if we created a tailored program that addresses the needs that we're seeing in our workforce? And we don't just pick up some courses, but we create the courses that address the needs of the students we are serving. So Jerry said, yes, let's do it. And so we had a lot of meetings and a lot of conversations about how we could do this, and we could ensure that we hit both things, that we prepare them and give them the tools they needed to succeed as a teaching assistant or a CT teacher, and that they get certified. So we worked very closely with the certification officer in our BOCES and with the state education department. And we are super proud to say that the state education department used our model to develop now the next teacher certification
that go into effect in October. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And so our program clearly aligns with that. So Gladys, do you want me to take it from there?
So our first cohort was in the spring of 2022. So we, you want to go one more? Okay, so in 2021, we developed that partnership between the two agencies with Albany and Questar III, and we created a way of paying. So that was my conversation with the board. I want to be able to pay the coursework for our teaching assistants and for our teachers. I don't want them to have that additional expense. So the board said, yes, let's do it. So we went and we created that agreement with the university, and we started our first cohort. We had 20, I thought we were going to have like 12. And I said, Jerry, let's do it for about 12, a cohort of 12. And she said, well, let's go a little higher just in case, because then we have to go back to the table to get an agreement approved and through the pipeline. So she said, let's do about 20. And we had 20 plus interested. So there is interest. And if you take away all the red tapes, right, you can get them through the door. So we did that, and when they finished that first cohort, they went to Jerry and they said, but we're done, and we don't want to be done. We want more. And these are stackable credentials, the way that we built them. And Jerry said, well, I have to go talk to Gladys because I need to see it. And I'm like, absolutely. People want to go to school. People want to learn. People want to get better at their craft. Absolutely. I went back to the board. I said, we want to pay another 3 courses. So now we have 6 courses. And they get 18 college credits. They're getting certified in the TA levels, and now these TAs that have these 2 courses, series of courses, can get that new certification. And I hope to incentivize them monetarily with a new step. So, and then our CT teachers are staying. I was having our CT teachers like leave because they were missing that pedagogical piece, right? They have the trade, they have the years of service, but they don't know how to manage a classroom, they don't know how to create lesson plans, they don't know how to use those 2.5 hours to do everything they need to do from theory to practice. Now they have that. So they are staying, they are creating PLCs within our system. It's really, and they're just, they just love to be together and talk about the program. Turn it back over to you.
All
right, want to add anything here?
No, I think you've covered it, so I'm just going to move forward. You'll notice throughout today's presentation, we put in the quotes from students as they went through when they completed the program, And I thought you might find that helpful because nothing speaks louder than the individuals who've gone through the program and how much they really did love the experience. I'm not sure this is going to work, so I may have to show this to you at the end. But one of the students, there's a video that I'd love to share with you. This program has provided me with the creativity, the knowledge, and the confidence. As Gladys shared with you, we had both teaching assistants and career and technical education individuals. Their needs were very different, but very much the same. They didn't know how to teach. They didn't know how to advocate for students because they didn't have the academic language or the experience. And through this program, you could see that unfold, and it was beautiful to watch. As Gladys mentioned to you, we started the FTL1 program, which we call the Foundations of Teaching and Learning 1, and there's a 3-course sequence in which they complete. At the end of that, I noticed I do seminar with them, so they take the courses asynchronous. And we have synchronous sessions, which I call seminar. And I noticed at seminar, it's 8 o'clock at night. They've worked all day and they are lingering and they're like hanging out. And I'm like, is anyone? And they just wanted to talk to me about just about anything. And finally, in one of the seminars, I said, is everything okay? Is there something that you need to tell me? Because I developed a really nice relationship with them where they could speak freely with me. They were like, Dr. Rivera Wilson, we don't want to leave. We want to continue. And I said, well, that's not my call. But I will talk to Gladys. And I said, and what do you want? What is it that you're looking for? What is lacking? And so they shared with me. And I went to Gladys and she immediately said, of course. And so we made the big announcement. All of them continued. And I got the privilege of working with them for another year. And so they are our biggest advocates. Many of them remain at Questar III, and some have moved on to other districts. The districts that they are currently housed in have called me and said, I don't know what you're doing over there with Questar, but we want a little of that ourselves. We noticed a difference. The individuals were very different from the other TAs. They were different from the other CTEs because they had gone through the program. And then, so let me tell you why it works. I've been in teacher preparation for 30 plus years. And I used to oversee the secondary education program at the undergraduate and graduate level and the teaching for English to speakers of other languages program. And so when I came to the University of Albany in the 90s, I knew what it took to create a program that doesn't suffer attrition. Okay, so if those students are making a commitment to your institution, you need to make sure it's a good fit for them as well as for you, and you need to make sure they feel like there's a community. And I think that's one of the strengths of the program. They feel immediately there's community, and you have to make sure that they're surrounded by support. So they do have mentors if they need them. We also make sure that the faculty understand the environments in which they are working. That's key. If someone who's never been in the classroom and never has worked with children with special needs, then that's a problem because they will not be able to really understand the challenges that they're facing. Or a career and technical education person who doesn't really understand the New York State standards. And so I bridge that. I make sure that the environment that they're walking into is supportive in every way. So that cohort-based model, many of them did not know one another. There are all these different schools, but now they are like a sorority or fraternity. They are together and they support one another and they have maintained that relationship after the program. That speaks volumes. Because as you know in teaching, having many colleagues that you can reach out to when you're having a challenge is exceptionally valuable. We provide asynchronous and synchronous delivery. Now that's going to be surprising to you that we have such a tight community, and the first time I meet them as at their graduation. And so I always make a little joke. Oh, there you are, because I never get to physically hug them and see them until they have their celebration. At the end of their micro-credential, We throw an event for them. We're having one on September 11th. We have one that just graduated this summer. They finished their third course. It's the FTL1. All of them are going into FTL2, which begins today. And so it's really lovely to see. And it's lovely for me because I get to continue to work with them as they are growing as professionals. And we have a wonderful partnership with Questar III. We communicate regularly. I let them know about the challenges that I'm seeing, and they let me know what the challenges they're facing. And so we work together. We're actually already brainstorming on another course that needs to be created that all the faculty could benefit. And we actually are doing this semester a literacy series. So we did a 2-part literacy series based on the needs that and Gladys said, I want all of my teachers to have an understanding of literacy, not just those that are. And so the AATA students, the FTL students, the Foundations of Teaching and Learning students, and the CTE teachers had that training before the regular practicing educators who are responsible for the classrooms. And really, we do, because we are a Research One institution, it does reflect the current research and practices. I am constantly looking at and heavily involved, as many of you may not know, in the field of education. So I am trying to keep a pulse with what's going on, but I'm also very forward thinking. This afternoon, I looked over at Gladys. It was 5 years ago. I said, we need to build the pipeline when they're in high school. We can do that, and she knows that that's one of the things I'd love to see. We have other initiatives that we're building the pipeline on that are much needed as well. But it does take time. It does take a lot of thought. The courses that we are offering are the equivalent of a methods course. So they are getting 6 courses that they would get, and they would transfer at any institution to meet towards becoming a teacher. So there's a lot of value, not only because of the content, but if they wish to continue their educational journey and further themselves, they have that possibility. Now, I will share with you, the research does show, and my own research on teaching assistants does show that teaching assistants not many want to become the teacher of record. What they want is to be at the highest level they possibly can, because they can serve in different capacities within the classroom, and they would like to have that freedom. What we did see, that mindset escalated during the pandemic, because sometimes they were the teachers in the classroom while the other teacher, the teacher of record, was zooming in. And they realized that they were capable of far more, but they didn't have the skill set and the knowledge. Once they gained that, which we actually saw during the pandemic, they were on fire. And so we want to keep those fires burning, and we want to keep really making sure that the teaching assistants and to recognize they have a voice, that they should be at the IEP meetings, because they're the ones who are directly working with those students. But now they can have a conversation because they have that language to do so and the knowledge. So we do offer informational sessions. So I will say to Gladys, she goes, oh, we have a new cohort. And she said, and I'll say, well, I'm happy to do some informational sessions where, they can zoom in, ask me questions. I can give them an overview of the program. But generally speaking, I don't have many who come because they're already sold on it, because they know individuals who've gone through it and they see what's happened with them and how they've changed, and then it's like they're bragging, and so they've already they took a bite out of the apple already, and so if anything, they want to know when they can begin, and there is always an onboarding. I think many of you who are involved in working with teaching assistants, even career and technical education, there's some academic skills that they need assistance with. And so I do an onboarding. Usually that ranges from a week to 2 weeks based on what I see. I have them do an intake form. So if I see that they need help with word processing, or they need help with technology, or they need help with time management, we provide those skills in an onboarding. And it really helps them prepare. You have to remember, they're going into a synchronous classroom. Many of them have never taken a college course before, and their first college course is going to be online. That's frightening, okay? And so I help them overcome that fear and let them know they've got it, and I'm going to make sure they get it, and we're going to provide the training and the support that they need. For instance, I don't know how many of you have taken an online course. Okay, so when there's a discussion board, you're like, oh gosh, there's a discussion. How is it being rated? What they're expecting? What is the length? They had to learn all of that. And so I'm going to teach you the anatomy of a good discussion post. I said, what I teach you here, you can take any course in the future and you will always do well. You just need to follow these steps. And it takes them a little bit, but they get it. And they said, you're right, Dr. Rivera. Well, so I'm in my third course with a different instructor. And what I learned in my onboarding and in your first course, I'm able to apply. And I said, it will serve you for as long as you choose your academic career, even when you're doing your trainings. They're always going to have to upskill, right? We would hope that they are lifelong learners. And so it's all undergraduate coursework and a community network. When I was talking about the seminars, we meet with them regularly throughout the semester. I meet with them with the instructor regularly. And what we use those seminars is not only for additional, where we see the gaps. If I'm constantly assessing where they're at, and if I see that they could use a little something, I go into seminar, I prepare that for them, I bring someone in to fill in that gap so that is no longer a gap and we can continue to build. I created a very streamlined admissions process for them. And that, I have to say, is very important for individuals who have never been to college before. It's frightening. And New Albany is not a tiny campus. So they do not have to go on campus for anything other than graduation if they choose to do so. And surprise, surprise, they do. So needless to say, I have a 2-page document. It's 1 page, both sides, that they complete. And that's all they need to do. They don't have to send me their transcripts, and I do the rest. Then I send it over to my colleague. It's funneled through the Questar first, and then funneled to me. We have a secure system that allows us to do that, and then I get them admitted. It's very streamlined, and I remind them this is not how it works at most institutions, but that's how it works here. And I try to make it as painless and as easy as possible for them because they are nervous from the moment I get them, and then they start to calm down after the first semester. So this is just an example of the application process. There's no fee, and it's pretty straightforward. So I usually get them for the FTL1, endearingly called the Foundations of Teaching and Learning 1, has three courses that they take. Now, this particular sequence happens spring, summer, and fall. And so they follow the academic count. Now, the tricky part is that, most colleges don't align with public schools. And, that's just the way it works. But I'm very mindful of that. So I will work it in so that, that there is some time for them to have off, but they recognize there's a trade-off. So I say to them, and I'm constantly talking to them about it. I said, if I do this is what it's going to mean. Are we all on board for this? And I'd have a vote. And they're like, no, and so when it happens, there is no, I don't hear any negativity. We're all about positivity. We're trying to troubleshoot in advance. Even with seminars, I let them vote. What night would you like seminar and at what time? I will make myself available. If it's at 9 o'clock at night, I will be there at 9. I said, I can't guarantee I'll be, as, spry, but I will be there. And so one group, it was always Wednesdays at a certain time. One year I said, I'm not even going to ask. I know it's going to be Wednesdays. Here are the dates. These dates work for all of you. And they vote. And I do that because I wanted them to know this is all about them and they have voice. So these are the 3 courses they take. In January, there's an onboarding in early January, and then they start with their coursework. The first course is Intro to Ed Psych. Then they take a course in Human Exceptionalities, and then they take a course in C&I, Curriculum and Instruction. And if they continue, which majority of them do, they will take Managing Classrooms and Behaviors in School, Introduction to Assessment and Education, and the last is an adolescent literacy course. So as I said before, there's calendar alignment. Flexibility is key, but it's flexibility with fidelity. There is, these aren't just, we don't water down the course. They're taking the course as if they are a student at the university only going through a teacher education program, and they will tell you it is work. But they know that and I always remind them, you are going to be better for this. Your students are going to be better for this. And and then because they're going through hardships, you have to remember working with teaching assistants. And, and what I mean by that is that many of them sometimes have part-time jobs. And so they're making a huge sacrifice to come back to school. But I remind them, your children are watching you. You are showing them what's possible through your hard work. And, and every time there is a celebration, they remind me of my own words. You're absolutely right. I am showing that my child, that they're first generation college students, and now their children will go on to college because they're witnessing their father or their mother go through school. So it's a beautiful thing to hear and see. So I'm just going to, you'll see that just an overview of whatever I've said before, and I just want to be mindful of the time because I also want to leave time for us to chitty chat. So this work, and Gladys and I really wanted to align it to the research. So we are looking at research. We are looking to publish our work since we've had the good fortune of having several cohorts, and now we've been doing this for several years. This is not new for us. And I think we have a lot to share that people could benefit. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? And really, our role is to share and proliferate the good work that is happening at Questar III through the partnership with the University of Albany. And we really do take advantage of all of these things that you see highlighted. Recommendation for collaboration, teachers as a coach model. We're actually moving next semester where the students who have gone through the program through FTL2, when they finish the Foundations of Teaching and Learning 2, they will serve as coaches and mentors for the Foundations of Teaching and Learning. So we really are using the research that shows that this allows for individuals to continue their growth, because that's really what you want. You don't want to say, okay, I finished 6 courses, I'm good to go for life. That's not how it works, we all know. Education is constantly changing, the landscape is constantly changing, and they need to be ready for it, and that requires them to have a love of learning, and I think that we do that while they're while they're pursuing this program. And professional development is key. And we know what they still need. And so I've been asked on more than one occasion to do PD or assist in providing recommendations for individuals to come in and continue to work with the graduates of the program and others who have not yet come through the program. I mentioned mentoring, that they are required to have mentors, but when they get to Foundations of Teaching and Learning 2, we provide them a mentor who is outside of Questar III, a safe space for them to talk about what they're still needing help with, and that individual's there to guide and assist and to provide whatever they need in order to really gain the strength they need in that particular area that they've identified or areas. And we're constantly making them aware of different pathways that exist for them. We do have a few who are moving on, who now are teachers of the classroom. And that's lovely to see. They stay connected with UAlbany, and some have left Questar for promotional opportunities that weren't available at the time. But as I said earlier in the beginning, they are our biggest advocates. And they'll say they loved working at Questar and they loved their time, and so much so that they wish their district could adopt what we've done, what they experienced. They would like others to have that same experience. These are stackable micro-credentials. That means the first 3 are a micro and the second 3 are another micro, so they are stackable. And so we're always looking at how we can make it, incentivize it. They don't get a bachelor's degree, but they can say, I have a stackable micro-credential in FTL1 and FTL2.
Can I just add a piece here? So we've heard throughout the day that, sometimes we put all these efforts into training people and then they leave us. Jerry has come to me and said, Gladys, this person is leaving, and midway or close to the end of a course, and I say, you know what, let them finish, because wherever they go, they're going to do a better job. It's going to be for the benefit of children. And I let the board know, because it is going to benefit children somewhere, and we've had various cases like that. One thing that I keep saying to Jerry and to my board is that when there's a mass a big mass of these teaching assistants and teachers that have gone through this program in our BOCES, I am expecting huge increments in student achievement and the classroom to really change. So that is something that I am looking forward to seeing down the road, because I know it's going to happen. Every time I go around the buildings, they give me hugs. They thank me a million times for just giving them this opportunity. As you all know, sometimes life gets in the way. You have children, you're putting them through college, and you don't take the time for yourself to go to college and continue to prepare yourself to become a better educator. And these are the people that we have in our systems. So just taking some of those pieces off their plate, you know, the tuition, the books, the supports, has really made a difference and has really changed the landscape for some of our teachers and teaching assistants.
Thank you for sharing that, because I also want to just share our data. Now, as of September 11th, that 20 number will actually move to 36. So, and so we have 4 teaching assistants of the 20 who have become teachers, 10 CTE certified teachers, and 23 are now enrolled. So as you can clearly see, the numbers are there, and that's just with Questar III. And that goes to show you, now what I should share, I said I don't have attrition. Normally when a student comes to me and they say they need to leave the program for one reason or another, it usually is through email, because they don't have the strength to call me. And I'll send them a response back and say, I think we need a brief meeting. I have to say, I've been very fortunate at keeping that student in the program. And sometimes they are so overwhelmed, they just need someone to kind of decompress with and talk it through with, and let them know it's going to be okay, and they're going to be okay. So I'm very proud that we have had so many graduates from the program who are out there and they're thriving, and the students that they are working with are benefiting from that. So I am going to try to show you this video, and I do mean try. And if not, I have another backup slide. And if not, you can go to atlased.org and you can find that video there.
So this is a cosmetology teacher. She was a TA in the program for years and years. And she would, I go around, do walkthroughs, talk to people, and I always would say to her, when are you going to get certified? And she said, well, you know, my daughter's going to college. This is one of those, you know, putting the children through college. And so when we created this program, I picked up the phone and I said, I want you to do this program. And she said, okay, and I sent her the information directly. It was an email with the information. She registered, did the program. She's the biggest advocate. And she goes to the board of education meetings to talk, to advocate for this program and to continue it, because she, from a TA, went to a teacher. And so what I did was I made a co-teaching model. So instead of having a teacher and a TA, I had 2 teachers there. And now we've increased the number of students that we can take in that class due to the fact that we have 2 teachers. So I'm constantly looking to, you know, to build them up, and there's various like that.
So just in case the video didn't work, here's some quotes for you. We can't seem to log on to their internet. So with that said, here, as you can clearly, everything we've kind of shared with you, so that you know that we're not just making it up. We have, these are the words of the students who recently graduated, and I think it speaks volumes. And so we're also, and again, I'll just read a few of them. This program has impacted my daily work in a positive way. Because of the knowledge I have, I am better. Better understanding of the development psychology aspect of students through early development to adult. the importance of classroom setup and expectations, adapting lesson plans to fit abilities, understanding the different learning disabilities, better ways to manage a classroom, better understanding how to teach a classroom with cultural diversity. And it goes on and on and on. And I have to say they're still saying that, even the students who just graduated and will be getting their feedback. And we're also very proud to share that one of our students received the New York State 2025 ProStar Educator of the Year, and she's in culinary arts. And so, and she was part of that first her first cohort. And this is a picture of one of our celebrations that we did for students. And as you can clearly see, very happy that they finished, but very much so still wanting to come home. And even after they graduated, they still want to come home and take classes. And I remember bumping into one of them. They said, "Is there any classes that I can take?" And I said, "Not yet." So I said, "But stay in touch. And as soon as something's available for you, I will let you know." I do thank Questar, who was willing to take a risk and also willing to invest in ways that you don't normally see. And that says a lot about the leadership there. So I'm very proud of our partnership, and I know that it will continue to grow in ways that we can not even imagine. So with that, we thank you for coming. We had some guiding questions if time permitted, but we want to also allow for opportunities for you to raise any questions that you might have in reference to the program. And obviously, if you want to learn more about the work that we do and maybe how we can work with you, we'd be happy to have you reach out to us, and contact information is on the screen. Thank you for spending time with us this afternoon.
Any questions, comments? Sure.
On a more localized level, one of the things we've had teachers coming to us, teachers not TAs yet, but teachers coming to us looking for, I'll go back to school and take this course in computer programming, and the district will pay for it, and the district has generally not wanted to set the precedent for that. And I'm wondering if you had to face that, and what, because I see I have a TA that's been in my earth science classroom for 10 years, and I'm waving white flag and trying to find an earth science teacher right now. And she's going to teach the course that I'd love to have her be one that's going to be a teacher, and so I'm seeing some potential here. Maybe
Gladys can speak to how she navigated that.
So, so what I did was, negotiated a contract with the teachers union that pays for tuition. So our last contract included tuition reimbursement. So we have this program that will automatically cover your tuition, whether you're a teacher, a CT teacher, or a TA. But then if you are wanting to get certified, we'll pay for that too. So we know about the shortage. We are suffering from the shortage. So we might as well invest in trying to develop a solution to the shortage. So
without strict, right?
Huh?
No strings attached, they can leave.
No.
Sometimes.
No,
Is it a full, are you paying full or just a certain?
we're paying the tuition based on SUNY, on the SUNY college
so
credits,
it's
right?
regular
So it's
private.
right. It's a SUNY rate.
Yes, so we do give them a SUNY rate. It's yes, and so we have a contract for a specified number of courses for a specified period of time, and so we always make the contract so that if there is an additional student, that's the reason why I had mentioned to Gladys, 12 may not be enough. So and that has certainly been the case.
Yes.
For your teaching assistants, and you're a New York State registered sponsor for teaching assistants, right?
So I've been trying to get that, so the paperwork is a little complicated. I'm working with Colleen, and we're trying to get through that paperwork to be, yes. And then, as you heard Bill talk about, they're doing a pilot with us
Okay.
to support us through SUNY Albany.
Do you see opportunities for that with your secondary level early childhood program and those students being able to then be apprentices while they're still in maybe senior year?
So we already have a senior year program, and it's Pathways in Education. It's a one-year program. It's in the New Visions category. It's housed at UAlbany. And those students take the teaching assistant certification test at the end of their coursework. So, but they are going, so about 99% of those students are going into education field, but they're going to anything from early childhood to content area, to music, they're going, but what's really neat is that they're staying in education. Like 99% of them are going into the fields of education. And we already have some graduates that are teaching back in their home district because they did a practicum when they were in this program in high school. And we had the opportunity to present at a Board of Regents meeting, and the teachers are well prepared. And they asked them, one of the Board of Regents members asked, how did you feel that first day? Were you prepared? And yes, I was prepared because I was doing that since I was in high school. What I need to do now is thread all these programs we have so that we can create what Jerry is talking about, creating that entire pipeline. You have the video?
I do.
All right. I know there's a question back there.
My experience was phenomenal for the STO program that I did in December. We got the chance to go through the program as a cohort, but typically when you go through these programs in the past, you really didn't know many members in your class. Where this cohort was defined of all of our colleagues across Questar, some that we wouldn't have been able to collaborate with. And it really gave me personally a experience of learning from them and looking at things in a different way. And I was able to take that back to the class and say, wow, okay, let me try that. It's working for them. And then that's so those colleagues that now we know each other and established a relationship. So I was really excited that as soon as the transcripts were released from the CB Albany at the end of December, that I was able to submit my application for my initial teaching certification, which has always been something that I always wanted, but there were really full blocks in life where, just not now, always focusing on, my own children and my own life, that this program gave me that extra push to be able to go through and to actually finish my goals. So I'm really thankful for that opportunity. So that is currently in the process of the hands of the state. So in the classroom, we were actually able to collaborate together as educators and to go through and see different methods, different ways that different ways that their backgrounds are going to affect them for ourselves as educators, what we can do internally and bring back to the classroom. Where there were certain situations that, oh yeah, this is familiar. We would learn and say, oh wow, I could actually assure students that this was affecting in our classrooms. Say, hey, let's go back and try it maybe the way that we're learning about and see if the positive effects there. So it immediately gave opportunity for us to bring it back to the classroom and different tools that we could try to better serve our students.
A lot of my learning things all going to be professors and quality. It is very easy with structure to be able to take these classes like hobbies, some I knew, some I didn't know. Some worked in the other facilities, but I got to meet them and learn from them too. It's everything that I need from top to bottom, different profession. Yes, we actually talk about a lot of understanding students, their needs, being able to deal with difficult situations, behavior, and such, their model.
So I think every teacher needs that course, right? Dealing with behaviors these days, that's something that we're seeing a lot in our schools. Any other questions or comments?
Is this like something that, I'm going down with the nitty gritty here of funding, so that you build this into your budget, that you have this funding to pay for this, so that all of your teachers and CPE and students are aware of it? And is there any incentive
So my
other than
experience-
their own educational growth that they have for it? There's no, that was in their contracts, where the teachers do get things from CTE out.
So, well, they get their, they can get CTLE hours, but, you know, right now with those TAs, as I said, the state's model for that new certification, it was based on our model. So those TAs, when we go into negotiations, again, I want to negotiate a separate step for all those TAs that want to go into that level, that initial TA certification, and get them a different, so there'll be an incentive, there'll be a monetary incentive, they'll be paid at a higher rate. So,
I'm
I'm
thinking it's institutionalizing the, that's where my brain went, when you see the charge is saying this, that also is an incentive.
right,
Because sometimes some people do need that.
right,
We have teachers.
right. And we have negotiated over time, so when they finish one of their courses, they'll get a monetary incentive added to their salary. They get another course, they get another monetary. So you know, because you heard how low teacher assistant salaries are. So